I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Oh, shit. This is They Live, an action horror movie about how the elite society have corrupted humanity. Directed by John Carpenter, They Live is an extreme critique of consumerist culture, the damage is done by it, and how it ultimately leads to population control. The movie also criticizes unfair working conditions, how the hardest workers get paid the least, and the ones who sit at the top always make the most. While I wouldn't exactly say the messaging is subtle, it does have a pretty unique way of portraying its commentary. So how well does this movie hold up almost 40 years later? Or have things only gotten worse? This is They Live.
Somebody start World War III?
The movie begins with our main character Nada, played by Roddy Piper, getting off a train. Now, his name is never actually said in the movie, at least I'm pretty sure. However, the credits call him this, as it's a reference to the original short story 8 o'clock in the morning with the main character's name, George Nada. The opening scene follows Nada as he walks through the slums of the city, where people can barely afford umbrellas, contrasted by the sleek, clean skyscrapers before finding himself at an employment office.
Last place of employment?
Denver, Colorado. Worked there for 10 years. And things just seem to dry up.
The woman indifferent to Nada's struggles lets him know there's no available jobs at the moment, as he continues to wander the city. This is where he stumbles onto one of the most important characters, the blind pastor.
They have recruited the rich and the powerful, and they have blinded us to the truth.
After spending a night sleeping on the street, he goes to find work at a construction site, where we also meet Frank, played by Keith David. Frank tells him about a homeless camp where they're serving food, since no sleeping is allowed on the site. Here we see people from all walks of life, with the first people shown being some playing children. This is where we meet another important character, Gilbert, who is a helper around the camp. We also learn about Frank's backstory and a little bit of the film's ideology.
I got a wife and 2 kids back in Detroit. Haven't seen them in 6 months. Steel mills were laying people off left and right. We gave the steel companies a break when they needed it. Know what they gave themselves? Raises. The golden rule. He who has the gold makes the rules.
Frank continues by talking about the brokenness of the system and how it points individuals against each other for their own gain, which is contrasted by Nada and his ideology of finding success through chance and a hard day of work.
I believe in America. I follow the rules. Everybody's got their own hard times these days.
Later that night, as a group of people is watching TV, the signal is mysteriously interrupted, as the hacker speaks about wealth inequality and how racial justice and human rights are non-existent. He's met with indifference from the group, who claim the signal is giving them a headache. Nada notices, however, that the blind pastor from before happens to be saying the same exact thing as the hacker, prompting him to investigate the church across the street, where he ends up finding a secret laboratory, a secret compartment, and this. As Nada continues to investigate the church the next night, both the homeless camp and the church are unfortunately raided by the police. The police ransack the entire church and bulldoze the entire camp, as well as cornering the pastor and the hacker and beating them. Another thing the police do is cover up the message that was in the church before, like it was so super important as to not get out there. This is where the movie takes a complete turn as Nada finds a box with sunglasses. What's so special about these sunglasses? Well, I'll let the movie speak for itself here. It's this chilling scene with no music where you hear the sounds of the city as Nada slowly realizes the world around him is built on fabrication and lies, revealed to him through the lenses of the glasses. But it's not just advertisements and messages hiding in plain sight.
What's your problem?
Despite the disbelief, Nada is able to catch on pretty quickly.
It really boils down to our ability to accept. We don't need pessimism. There are no limits.
It figures it would be something like this.
It's worth mentioning that in the short story, these people are regarded as fascinators, as they're not given a name in the movie. Another difference from the story compared to the movie is exactly who is considered a fascinator. As Nada in the film looks around, there doesn't seem to be any fascinators among the working class, as they all appear as rich or elite individuals, whereas in the story, anyone could be a fascinator. Additionally, in the film, the fascinators look like zombies or aliens, whereas in the story, they're referred to as reptilians with multiple eyes. Overall, it's interesting to see that the movie went with a more political route. It certainly makes the message stand out as unique in its own way, This specific political lens, no pun intended, being the reason many online call this movie a documentary.
I have come.
After Nada becomes a wanted man, he goes to find Frank for help. Nada tries to explain the situation to Frank, who obviously wants nothing to do with him. This culminates in an extensive fight scene between the two, and this is like a really long fight scene, where eventually Frank has the glasses forced onto him. This scene acts as a metaphor for willful ignorance, knowing you're participating in a broken system, ultimately perpetuating it by turning a blind eye. Frank knows the game is rigged and the odds are heavily stacked against him, yet he rejects any opportunity for change. Understandably so, having to support his family, in comparison to Nada, who in reality has nothing to lose. Later, after hiding out, Gilbert from the homeless camp is able to find Frank, as he lets them know about a small gathering between resistance members. Here they're given contact lenses to wear instead of glasses, and they learn that the Fascinators are recruiting humans to sell out their own species by giving them wealth. We also learn that humans and Earth as a whole are essentially natural resources to the Fascinators.
Carbon dioxide, fluorocarbons, and methane have increased since 1958. Earth is being acclimatized. They are turning our atmosphere into their atmosphere.
The resistance group is swatted by the police as they literally kill everyone. However, Frank and Nada escape using a portal device stolen off of a dead Fascinator. It ends up taking them to an underground bunker where we learn what Fascinators truly are. A race of space aliens who travel from planet to planet conquering worlds, all accomplished by acting as the rich and powerful, and the group of sellouts regarded as the human power elite.
Our projections show that by the year 2025, not only America, but the entire planet will be under the protection and the dominion of this power alliance.
We even see the homeless man from the camp, who chose to join the aliens, as he most likely was the person that sold out the resistance group, who the Fascinators brand as terrorists.
You still don't get it, do you, boys? There ain't no countries anymore. No more good guys. They're running the whole show. They own everything, the whole goddamn planet. They can do whatever they want.
Similar to the short story, the movie concludes in an action sequence of Frank and Nada destroying the Fascinators' headquarters. They Live presents a world where the encouragement for capitalist consumption goes beyond mere economic benefit, as it fundamentally lends itself to population control, with entertainment and news media being merely a distraction, while elite individuals, bureaucratic or just plain rich, make the rules for the world around them. The message is simple: work 8 hours and play 8 hours, marry and reproduce, do not have independent thought, and most importantly, stay asleep. Overall, the film questions the role of consumerist culture and society as a whole, where the truth and reality are materialized by individuals who we are just told to blindly trust. To put it simply, They Live is woke. This has been Shookey, and as always, thank you for watching, and take care.